Toddlers love to play dress up, but acting, role playing, and costuming is for everyone. Let me tell you, the first time I dressed in 1860s attire and I looked in the mirror, I was amazed at what I saw. I didn't just see myself. I felt like a different person. I was transported to a different era. I found I was carrying myself, walking differently. My bearing was different. It can truly be an amazing transformation. Think of an actor portraying a character in period dress. Now imagine that same actor playing the same character, delivering the same lines, but wearing modern day street clothes. Would your first impression be the same? Probably not. The clothes and the props really do matter. Dealing with little kids, we tend to think of this as playing dress up or make believe, and that's fine. But costuming goes beyond that. It is a wonderful way for students of all ages to demonstrate something they have learned in their studies. Write a play, act it out, and video it. Some of the Maestro Heights units are written in storyboard format, so you can turn those into scripts with very little effort, since much of the dialogue is already written for you. You could have a narrator and a primary character, or you could have a dialogue, or you could even make a monologue. The lines that your actors speak might be memorized, but there's great learning that takes place even if those lines are read, especially if the students researched and wrote those lines themselves. Everyone learns a little differently, but I assure you, there are students who will balk at the idea of writing a report or an essay, but will happily put on a play, using the same information, I might add, that they would have used in that report or essay. The same research, the same topic, just presented in a fun way. Don't overthink the costuming. Costuming does not require fancy or elaborate pieces. Use whatever you have around the house and make it work. And sometimes, silly works very well indeed. This is critical. Putting on a play is a lot of work, and most students won't be thrilled at presenting multiple plays to only their siblings and parents. So what do? You make a video. You make a movie. Let the student edit it. Lots of older students have their own YouTube channels, and it might be appropriate to upload those videos. That's up for you to decide. But no matter what, make the video. Just as it's fun to go back and look through old photos, it's fun to look at old videos. Here's an especially fun idea. If you've made multiple videos throughout the year, and I hope you will, how about an end of the school year movie night when you show all of the movies made that year? Get out the popcorn, make a big deal out of it, celebrate. As time goes on, you might want to watch videos from previous years too. You can have awards by letting each student choose which video of theirs that they enjoyed the most, or learned the most, or was simply the most fun to make. Many of the Maestro Heights lessons have opportunities for skits built into them. The lesson on the first federal impeachment has a lot of dialogue, which is easily adapted. In this one, how the Daughters of Liberty use the spinning wheel, there is one activity that includes an original handbill, a flyer from the time. I use a lot of primary source documents on all of my things. In this one, the student is asked to study the handbill and then is asked a series of questions to ponder. Then the activity is to write and present a short play based on their answers. So the flyer says, William Jackson, an importer at the Brazen Head, the north side of the townhouse and opposite the town pump on Cornhill, Boston. It is desired that the sons and daughters of liberty would not buy any one thing from him, for in so doing they will bring disgrace upon themselves and their posterity forever and ever. Here are the questions. You've just been handed this handbill. You know Mr. Jackson quite well. He's your neighbor and he's always been kind to you. What conversation might you have with the person who gave it to you? How do you react to Mr. Jackson the next time you see him? And so on. Learning in this way teaches much more than there was just some handbill that was distributed. This teaches thinking and application that has obvious implications in today's world as well. Acting, role playing, and costuming, some of the best ways to not only learn about the past, but to apply very real concepts to our lives today. Although we usually think of field trips as a day-long trip to a specific destination, there's another kind of trip we can take that has all sorts of learning potential. Let's take a road trip. Sometimes we study the history of a person. Sometimes we study the history of a time or an era, or sometimes an event. In this session, we're going to talk about the history of a location, of a place. Important things happen all around us. Let's find out what it was. Perhaps you're going on a major road trip over a great distance. You will need to stop from time to time to stretch your legs, get some fresh air. Make spontaneous stops at roadside markers. You don't have to stay long. Just read about what happened at that place. Take a moment to close your eyes and imagine the scene you just read about unfolding before you. Are there settlers in great wagon trains? Is there a gunfight? Are miners hard at work? Maybe you're at the site of a great battle, or where an act of great patriotism or bravery or sacrifice took place. Maybe your location is where someone was born, or was married, or died. Whatever it was, take a moment to recreate that scene in your imagination. Then take a photo of the sign so you can refer to it later. Take a photo or two of the general area. Take a photo of your group with the sign, get back in the car, and continue on your way. As you go on down the road, you might want to continue your conversation about what you saw. Talk about the people involved, the significance of what you read about. What was it about that event that took place that was important enough that someone felt the need to remember it so that it would not get lost to history? Use I wonder statements. I wonder what happened to that family after their wagon train left. I wonder if the scout who escaped had nightmares about his ordeal. I wonder if the mothers of the soldiers who died here ever knew what happened to their sons. I wonder how many children lived in this house over the years. I wonder how many families had birthday parties here. I wonder what people thought when they saw Lincoln standing there. I wonder. Sometimes the events have only local significance. Other times they may be of great national importance. It doesn't matter. It was history, and it happened right on the very spot where you are standing. And at some time, a person or a group of people decided that that event was important enough that you know about it, that they agreed to work together and get a marker to tell you about it. Yes, it's that personal. They did it to tell you. When you get home, look up something more about that place. What you do with that information we'll talk about in other sessions, but for now, I want you to post your pictures on the Facebook group called History on the Highway. It is a page where people simply post photos of markers and informational signs. Sometimes they include pictures of themselves, sometimes not. Either way is fine. Now, there's another variation of the long trip that I really want to encourage you to do. It is often said that people who live in an area rarely see it as tourists do, and I believe this to be true. Become the intentional tourist in your town or county or region. Make a list of every marker in your area. There are lists of federal and state markers online. You'll find more markers and signs by inquiring at your local Chamber of Commerce or Historical Society or even your local library. Make a list of every sign and try to find them. All of them. Many are listed by GPS coordinates. Some will only have a physical address. Some have a highway sign and a mile marker. Here's a great opportunity to learn how to use a paper map. Great way, fun way to build your map reading skills. Think of this like a scavenger hunt. Collect photos of the markers like passport stamps. Many birders have life lists of the birds that they have seen. Make a life list of all the historical markers you have seen. This is your home turf. This is where you live. Find out what happened there before you arrived. You'll likely find a common thread or narrative to your area. You may find that your area was built by homesteaders or grew from industrialization. Whatever the story is, it is a fantastic way to find a personal connection to history. An example. My hometown is the site of the 5th Lincoln-Douglas debate that was held here in 1858. In that location, there are informational signs about the debate. I can go to that place, read the signs, and actually walk in the very same steps where Lincoln stood and made his statements against slavery. As much as I love reading about that event, knowing that I am standing exactly where Lincoln stood is a much different experience. One of the joys of reading through the posts on History on the Highway is seeing places that we might not have a chance to see on our own. Or you might be inspired to visit one or more of these places in person, as I have. So whether your road trip is by car or a virtual trip on the History on the Highway page, read the signs and keep those memories, that history, alive.